Om. 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 Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti stithani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. So where are we in our text?
We're in chapter 29, number 3435 on page 310.
Do you have a copy of the text or do you want one?
No, it's not listening.
Okay.
Uh, 34, 35 was it, Mark?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Kanakavya tirekena keyuram yena bhavyate kanakai kama buddhi nirvikalpa sa uchyate. By whom a bracelet is conceived as not different from gold, he, having the strong or intense perception of gold alone, is called unconditioned or without differentiation.
Yes. So the idea here is some people will look at the saying Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Mithya can mean conditioned reality. So gold is the substratum, bracelet is the conditioning of gold. Clay is the substratum, pot is the conditioned reality. So also all this is verily Brahman. The names and forms are conditioned reality. They appear. But the material cause, the stuff out of which they're all made, is nothing but consciousness. Now, these metaphors of gold and clay fall short because the gold and the clay undergo a morphological change. Consciousness doesn't move. It is kutastha, stable, still. My favorite is the crystal ball. I'll bring out, have you been here when I brought out the crystal ball, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay. I bring out the crystal ball and I have the prayer stone. There it is. You have to imagine the crystal ball. They are both rocks. This rock is jala. It's inert. It has no reflectability in it. But the crystal ball is stone, spatika. But if you look into the crystal ball, you see images. Now, has the crystal ball morphed into the images? No. Has the crystal ball undergone any change? No. Are the images in the crystal ball? Can I saw it open and pull out the images? No. Seen, but not real. This is spatika ganam, a homogeneous mass of crystal. But it has its own spatikamaya. Its nature is such that images appear. So also this vijnana ganam, as Mandukya says, a homogeneous mass of consciousness. But it's achalam, it does not move. Yet the entire universe appears in one small, teeny tiny corner of it. Any thoughts about this? Now, so what? Why is this important? Take it easy. It's all okay. There's nothing ever to worry about. Remember, was it last week or the week before we had the story of the fellow who built the house to protect space? Remember that story?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that story because so much of what we do is so that I am going to be okay. Fear of financial insecurity. So what if the body's destitute? What's going to happen to you?
Nothing.
Nothing. And you can't take a U-Haul to the graveyard. Unless you're an Egyptian. You can do that if you're an Egyptian.
They just take a lot of stuff.
But whether it's business, whether it's politics, whether it's relationship, whether it's family, you are achalam, nirmalam, kutastha. Now, one of the things that's really important, two egoistic ideas tend to afflict us. Regret for the past and worry about the future. Oh, why did I do such and such and so and so? I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Anybody ever have those ideas? That's a complete misunderstanding of the law of karma. The universe as a mahamudra, as one unified energetic whole, unfolds perfectly. Whatever you did in the past, you could not have done any other. It was perfect. Should I do this in the future? Should I do that in the future? What am I going to do? Should I let go of these customers, these clients, or not? Should I do this business or not? In the end, you're going to do what you're going to do. It's kind of like this. Anybody here remember the TV show Disneyland? I don't even know if it's on the TV anymore.
Yeah, Disney World, or yeah, on Sunday nights, right?
But in
Yeah.
old timey days, it was hosted by Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And they would have, Adventureland and Tomorrowland and stuff like that. And you'd have different episodes of things. Well, one of them in Tomorrowland, Uncle Walt was demonstrating a chain reaction. And he had a ping pong table. The ping pong table was completely covered with mouse traps, thinking of mice. And God, these poor people who had to put this thing together. Each mouse trap had a ping pong ball on it. And Uncle Walt was going to demonstrate a chain reaction because, this was the 50s. This is when we were talking about atom bombs and nuclear reactions. So he takes one ping pong ball and he throws it onto the ping pong table. And it engages one mouse trap. And then two ping pong balls happen. And then there's four, and then there's 16. And it was like popcorn. That's like your and my vasanas. Where did your vasanas come from? Well, where did those impressions come from? And what was before that? And before that? It started with the Big
I
Bang.
love that image of just ping pong balls,
Yeah.
nothing more.
And it's that mechanical. And this is what Krishna means when he says in Gita that there's no agent. It's guna and karma, qualities of mind and the force of the past, as it interacts with the larger karmic environment. But I really want to do blah, 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 blah. What you want doesn't matter. You're going to do what you're going to do, and it will either be successful or medium or a failure, all depending on the force of the past maturing. Don't worry. And you are completely safe. Any thoughts on this? All right, next verse. Good old Uncle Walt.
नानात्वम् अखिलं त्यक्त्वा शुद्धचिन्मात्रकोटरे संवेद्येन विनिर्मुक्ते संवितत्वे स्थिरो भव. Having given up all manifoldness or distinction, be firm or still in the hollow or nakedness of mere pure consciousness, in the true principle of pure intelligence, totally set free from the known.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways we can look at it. The first and most important, all physical movement happens with the body. Feelings and thoughts happen with the mind and the intellect. But you are firm and still. But it can also mean let the mind quit believing itself. Let it unknow. Be firm and still. Then the mind gets to taste the peace, the bliss of the self. It becomes blissful. And then when thoughting returns, again, that firmness and stillness of the mind. Just mind state. Don't be attached to it. But the knowledge allows this emptiness to be, the words fall short. It's like the backside of the mind is always empty. It's always empty. It's just the little surfacey stuff that moves or doesn't move. Whenever I would be hanging out with Swamiji, and I tune into him, he was just so empty. There was just nothing there. And this little brown man in the orange robe, just like a puppet going, going on.
पदार्थ जाति सर्वस्मिन् संवित्सारतया स्थितः अखिलं संविदेवेदं जगत् kalpana. In all things that have become objects, pure consciousness exists as the quintessence. All this universe is only pure consciousness. There is no other conception.
Yeah. So we have a practice to be able to see this samadrishta. The yogi has this equality of vision, heat and cold, pleasure and suffering, honor and dishonor, body, mind, intellect. Turning the volume level down. Shankara has that wonderful metaphor of having a mind like a wicker basket, and you pour water into it, it just goes. Or for us foodies, you're rinsing your rice or something like that, or vegetables. You put them in the colander, you turn on the water, whoosh, it just goes through. So whatever the sensory data is, just let it go through. Don't let it hook or get stuck. Blah, blah, blah. That's all it is. And then you eventually begin to get the direct experience that a lump of gold, earth, a leaf, some water, a flower, they're all the same. And we are in the world, but not of it, as the Master Jesus said. My kingdom is not of this world, but the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's right here. Going on.
संभवात् अखिलाकारेण ऐकस्था एव संविदः संवेद्यमपि नास्त्येव बन्धमोक्षौ अथ katham. On account of its existence in the form of all, there is not even the known for the one and only pure consciousness. Hence, how could there be bondage and liberation?
Yes. So, a couple different ways to look at this. First of all, in the pure self, the eternal subject, which is the space of pure awareness, there are no objects to be known. So in the beginning, we'll talk about the self and the not self. Once we get rooted in the knowledge, the direct experience, I'm that witnessing consciousness. Well, we fooled you. There is no not self. What we've been calling the not self is the self, and the names and forms are illusion. They're holograms. They're imaginations. There's nothing else to be known. When my senses perceive an object, when I'm engaged in what we call the triple factor, the triple T, knower, knowing, and know. Listen carefully. That's not any different than the self-evidence of the self. What is the praman, the means of knowledge by which you know you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself, yet you know you are. You are Swayambhu. Okay, I get that. Who is knowing the object I am? What is the knowing, the seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, feeling, or thinking? That too is Brahman. What about the Vishaya, the sense objects themselves? That is Brahman. The only thing going on anytime, anywhere, any place is the self-evidence of Brahman. There's no otherness. Even my stupid imaginations of otherness is Brahman. Going on.
Mahakarta Mahabhokta Mahatyagi Bhavanadhya Etat Pura Proktam Bringishaya Hishum Bringishaya Hishambhuna Tatteham Sampravakshyami Shraddhaya Shrinu Raghava. Become a great doer, a great enjoyer, and a great renouncer. These three were told by Shambhu, or god Shiva of the Trinity, to Bringisha. I shall describe that to you. Raghava, hear with faith.
So, what was the first one? A great knower?
A great doer.
Great doer. So, it's an illusion that there's an individual me doing the doing. There's a very famous Zen koan. From where you are sitting, move the distant boat across the water. The same doer that's blinking your eyes is spinning galaxies and causing tides, making your hair grow. And Mahad Karta, whatever he said. I don't know what
Mahakarta,
Yeah. And what was the next one?
a great enjoyer.
Yes. Who is the experiencer, the knower in every field? Now, hereby we mean enjoyer. You can also think of it as the experiencer. It all happens to me. Even though it seems like there's me and a 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 me. No, there's only one me, one I, to whom all this is happening. The great witness of the entire cosmos. The next one, the next idea.
A great renouncer.
Yes. You and I think I'm going to win. I'm stupid. I'm going to give up cow milk. Oh, but the self has no involvement with any object, emotion, or thought. The term Gita uses, asparsha yoga. The root is prichati, which means to touch. Asparsha means untouched. Yoga means joy. It is because of me that the universe dances, yet it never touches me. Don't believe me. Whatever's gone on in your life, are you not still this space of consciousness? It's a simple exercise. You tune up the mind, notice the knower. Then listen to the traffic. It's just being heard. Now move your hand and try to stay that tuned up. You just witness it all. No real difference. Next idea.
That was the third one.
All right. Next verse.
Ishvara vacha ragadveshau sukham dukkham dharma dharmau phala phale ya karot yanapekshaiva mahakarta sa uchyate. God Shiva said, he who does this work without looking to or taking into account passion or hate, pleasure or pain, righteousness or unrighteousness, reward or absence of reward, he is called the great doer.
Yes. So here from the standpoint of practice, renouncing the sense of agency. The two ways you can practice this. First, like we said from Gita, it's all guna and karma. Or you can take on, I of myself do nothing, Ishvara does it all. I am the witness of it all. That's the practice that's implied. Next one.
Sarvatra vigatanneho यः साक्षिवत् अवस्थितः निरिच्छं वर्तते कार्ये महाकर्ता स उच्यते. Devoid of attachment everywhere, remaining like a witness. He who is without desire in doing his work, he is called the great doer.
Yes. Now, this used to concern me because I would, for example, be at the dinner at the ashram, if there was a camp or something like that. And it was very clear that Swamiji was enjoying the chutney. He's not supposed to enjoy. So what it means here, of course, your mind will have preferences, but only you can determine whether it's a preference or insistence. So when the scripture says devoid of desire, the yogi has smashed the idea that it being different is what's going to make me happy. Or it being different is going to get rid of my misery. Or the totally neurotic one, bhaya, fear. False evidence appearing real. Fuck everything and run. No, face everything and realize. Almost always, fear is the projection of the mind into the future. Do you have a place to stay tonight? Uh-huh. Do you have food? Uh-huh. Are you, in reasonably good health? Uh-huh. You're fine. God's done her job. You are completely taken care of, even at the level of the upadis, the equipment. Yeah, but what about tomorrow? That's crazy. Was that the laugh of recognition of thought over there? Yeah. Yeah.
Ask you a question.
Yes.
Let's go back and you said there's two ways to kind of investigate the sense of agency or no agency. And the second one was the one
This is from a more dualistic standpoint. The Master Jesus used this one when he said, I of myself do no thing. It is the Father within that doeth the work. Again, one of my favorite stories of Jesus. I may have told this one to this class. So he's walked along the road with the dudes, and a woman with an issue of blood, she probably had a chronic vaginal discharge, comes up and touches the hem of his garment. And he turns and he says, who has touched me? And then the scripture says, for he had felt power go out of him. She was healed. Just the hem of the garment. No sense of agency. Fast forward 2,000 years. So back in the 80s, I was studying singing with Jess Thomas, who was a world-class Helden tenor. In fact, he sang at the opening of the new Met in Antony and Cleopatra. He sang at Bayreuth and stuff like that. I mean, really big time international star. I mean, wasn't cheap either. And I can remember him was demonstrating a particular phrase, and he sang it, and it was just gorgeous. And he stopped and goes, "Oh, that was beautiful. It gave me goosebumps." I mean, it was not being arrogant or pride. It was like almost like disassociation. Yeah, like something else was doing it.
Does it clearly? Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
We've all had moments of it. Have you ever been with a friend who's maybe distressed, and you don't come with a recipe of what you're going to say, but you're just open, and something to comfort them comes through? You've had that experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's weird when that happens. I'll be like, who is talking? Like, where is this coming from? Because it's not me.
It's, well, it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
It's the big me,
Yeah, but
not
that's
the
such
pig me. It's
yeah.
the big me, not the pig me.
That's such an interesting experience when that happens.
Or you can say it's guna and karma. What we don't want to do is take on, I am the individual, and aren't I fancy that I did all this? That's what gets us in trouble.
Would you say that movement or mechanism is just thought and like an energy feeling? That claiming I did?
That's the fruit of ignorance. That is the essence of ego. That's jiva bhavana. And its origin is ignorance. Now, it may just be residual, the habit of the mind, because you've done it that way for so long.
Mm.
You may go through a period where you see the mind do that and you know it's not true. But that'll wear out. What happens to the equipment after we become rooted in the self? This is the clearest way to demonstrate it. Will you turn the switch on for a moment, please? Now, if you look up, is it turning? Yeah, because electricity, that's like egoism, is moving through the equipment, the fan. When the ego dies, when you see its unreality, flip the switch. Now, why didn't it stop? It's still turning. Prarabdha karma, the force of the past. So some of these things continue. But look what's happening to the fan. Slower and slower. So you get emptier and emptier. So the jnani becomes more and more transparent at the level of the equipment. And it's almost about ready to get old. And guess what happens when the fan stops, when the prarabdha is done? You're dead. Is that useful?
Yep.
Next verse.
But in that example, if the fan turning is the belief, like the momentary belief in the ego due to habit.
Well, you can have this kind of divine schizophrenia. You watch the agent do something that's probably not particularly smart, like scream and yell at the people you love. And there's a piece of you that's standing back and like, oh God, when is that ever going to stop?
Right.
You know you're Brahman, but you still see that move.
Like that pattern still doesn't feel good, I suppose, in some way. And
But you see it for what it is. It's that you know that it's just the force of the past maturing.
like it's like I can like just to give you an example, like I told you I've been interviewing again, and I've not interviewed in a while, so it's quite a humbling process of going through the works and feeling like I'm giving a test and like this whole old pattern of like as a kid, putting yourself out there and then being judged on it and then
Oh, yeah.
receiving the outcome that I didn't make it. And so it's quite a humbling process. But the motions of the fear and expectation, all of that is happening. And I'm like, oh wow, it's still here. But
Is there a piece of you that finds it a little bit funny?
sure.
Yeah.
But like I would say, like this morning, or this afternoon, I had an interview, and like maybe like 20 minutes before the interview, I was like, feeling like my heart rate was like at 90, and I was like, this is weird.
Dude, I used to think I have no performance anxiety. I'm this great Mahayogi. And just before a concert, I'm running to the toilet with diarrhea. And I would just laugh and laugh because the body doesn't lie.
Yes.
So that's just like unconscious conditionings at work?
And the force of the past.
Yeah.
The force of the past, And so effing what?
Yeah.
The good news is if you don't think you're a spiritual person, if you know you're Brahman, who cares? If, on the other hand, I am a Mahayogi, and I'm not supposed to have this kind of reactivity,
Right.
that's
But there is a part of me is like, oh wow, it's I can't wait for this to end, I suppose.
Mhm.
aversion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lean into it. You're a yogi, you have tools.
Yeah, I know.
Lean into it.
It's
And there is no more effective way to let go of ego than humiliation. It is so immediate and so powerful.
Mm.
You've heard me say this, quoting Swamiji, go after the world, let it drop you again and again.
Mm.
Let it kick you in the teeth. And then he would laugh diabolically.
That's the key.
It's the only way to kill the ego.
Yeah. I can
So
do that.
as long as you continue to be identified with the doer,
Right.
even a little bit, the Lord's gonna serve you favors.
Great, Adam, that because it resonates. So I'm starting a business thing now as well, and I feel similar things. I'm like posting on Instagram, and I've never used it. But I want to just check, Jim. I think does it come down to like even if there's nerves or discomfort, it's just whether we identify as the one who's if there's no identification, it's
Yeah.
inconsequential in some way.
Yeah. And again, the longer you are in that state of knowledge, the less importance all that stuff becomes. All it is an old habit. But you don't want to have what the Buddhists call the second arrow. Guys should be telling me this because you've gone to these Buddhist things. My understanding of the second arrow, there's just the nerves or the fear of financial insecurity. The second arrow is, oh, I'm a crappy yogi because I'm having this reaction.
Mhm.
Secondary suffering because of it.
Yeah, because the initial will pass
Yeah.
always, right?
Yeah.
And you'll get back to that place of equilibrium. Doesn't mean it won't come up again.
And one of my favorite slogans, anything worth doing is worth doing badly.
Mhm.
Because if it's really hard and you've never done it before, you're not going to be very good at it at the beginning.
Right.
Even in the middle, at the end.
But the foolish person expects themselves to be a perfectionist on the first attempt. And then when they don't do it very well, they quit and give up. And then they wonder.
sometimes the not feeling good, the discomfort that at least I feel the way I describe it when I'm in a state of fear or whatever. It feels like sometimes that itself is a defense mechanism to for the ego to not wanting to do it because of the fear of what may or may not happen.
Well, and that's what I call phony renunciation.
Right.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I was living in San Diego, and this is years before I met Swamiji. And I used to have terrible stage fright when I sang. And there was this Italian restaurant, and young singers would go and they'd get a chance to get up on stage and sing their aria and stuff like that. I think Max's Opera Cafe used to do that here. Remember that?
Yeah, San Francisco, yeah.
And but anyway, so I went to this spaghetti restaurant and I got up and I think I sang this little art song, Alma Really Mia Bella. And I was just terrified. And then my knees started to shake. And then when I got off the stage, I had about two big glasses of red wine. And I said, I can't do this. It's just too painful. I'm just not going to be a singer. And that was completely phony renunciation.
Mhm.
Real renunciation is get your ass up on the stage and go through it, which I eventually had to do. The swadharma of being a singer was too strong. It wouldn't let me stop. That's like Arjuna saying, I'm going to go into the forest and meditate.
Because he was afraid.
It's all phony renunciation. That's not real renunciation. Get up and fight and get over your cheap self. That's renunciation.
Good example.
Huh?
Good example.
Which one? My singing thing or Arjuna?
Both are okay.
No, it's very real. It's
So
very
to have the
real.
courage to go through the
Yes, keep going to the interviews.
I guess that there's two, like, I'm just thinking out loud, there's two approaches. One is like a yogic approach where you just kind of feel it all, karma yoga attitude, and just kind of put up with it, like with a yogic attitude. But then the jnana attitude would be, I'm not that, and seeing that while you do it. It's like two different approaches.
Not really, it's the same. It's really the same. The I'm not that is the tool you use to not get identified. Karma yoga, is act in the world according to your swadharma in the yajna spirit, renouncing our attachment to the fruits of action and our identification with a sense of agency. Chapters 3, 4, and 5. Those are the elements. There's no real difference. There's no real difference. But the teaching is you don't get freedom by avoiding the trigger that's causing your suffering. It doesn't work.
Yeah, because eventually life is gonna,
It'll show up
yeah,
because guess who's ultimately drawing it,
right,
creating
it's
it?
your fear.
Your
it's
own
from-
karma.
Yeah, yeah.
It's your own karma. How do I know when I've let go of the attachment? When I can do the activity or be in that situation and it no longer causes me distress. You don't have to like it, but you have to get to the point of neutrality. Then what will happen is you act that way and it no longer bothers you, but frequently the situation will disappear.
I just want to ask one thing on that.
Sure.
Like, for example, let's say the singing thing. Once there's complete conviction you're not the body mind, even if it's fearful of singing, it doesn't matter. So it's not about the fear necessarily going away or changing.
Fear goes away. It's a spiritual axiom that if I'm disturbed, No matter the cause,
Okay.
I'm the one with the klesha. There is no such thing as fear in the body that's not in the mind. That's an illusion. They're the same thing. One's a gross and the other's a subtle part of the same thing. Now, there are some kind of instinctual things. If you're walking across the street and you hear a loud noise, you get the adrenaline rush. You can say, yeah, that's lizard brain.
Yeah.
But that's not what most of us are talking about here.
So I have a question. So I was sharing with you, I've got some financial stuff going on that's triggering, old fears that I sort of thought were gone. So I forgot the question. Shit. Oh, I know in a day or two, the fear will be gone about this particular situation. I just know it's just going to go away.
Well, you're smarter than most.
Well, no, but it may very well come back again. Yeah.
And then, there's the old slogan, trust God, but tether your camel.
Right.
This is not an invitation to financial irresponsibility.
Right. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff tonight. Anything else on what true renunciation is? It's not the avoidance. And this is where sometimes being in an ashram can become problematic. So if you have issues with lust, if you have issues with living with other people, well, I guess if you're there for 3 years, they're all going to arise.
Yeah.
You start lusting for the person.
Okay.
Yeah. But it never comes from the outside. It's always my klesha, my dosha. In a retreat, sometimes we can get really deep because the external triggers are gone. But that's like if it's 10 days or 2 weeks. But if you go back into the world or you're in the ashram for several years, it'll all be right there. It'll all be right. All right, next one.
जन्मस्थिति विनाशेषु सोदयास्तमयेषु च सममेव मनो यस्य महाकर्ता स उच्यते. He whose mind is quite equal or indifferent in birth, existence and destruction, and in things consisting of rise and fall or appearance and disappearance, is called the great doer.
Yes. So going back to the last story of Chudala, when Shikadvaja had attained steady wisdom, she tested him. Term we use in the tradition is kicking the post to see if it's steady. So remember what she did?
Yeah, she had sex with another man in front of him.
Well, first of all, she had first turned herself into a Brahmin boy.
Right, and then a sexy woman.
Then, I have to turn into a woman every night. And then if he had an idea, I'm not supposed to have sex, okay, I can do that. And then she creates the lover.
Right.
And he's equanimous through it. You see. Any of you ever had issues around jealousy?
Never. Okay.
It's one of the benefits of being a brahmachari. Oh, God.
Or getting old. In my case.
Remember, I'm older.
I know I'm old enough.
And for some people, the flesh is decrepit and the mind still burns. one of the biggest industries in this country is Viagra and Cialis.
Yeah.
For the decrepit.
That's aging,
Hmm?
for us aging people.
Yeah.
All the way through.
That's what I said, decrepit. And thank God there's a few decrepophiles around. All right, going on.
सुखै दुःखै क्रियायोगै भावाभावै भ्रमप्रदैः न संक्षुभ्यति यो भुक्तैः महाभोक्ता स उच्यते. He is called the great enjoyer, who is not agitated by things experienced, by pleasures or sorrows, by connections with actions, or by the consequences of actions, by the existence or non-existence of things, and by those causing perplexity.
So, how do we get to this place that the scripture implies? This is the secret. So I call this the ruthless rule of the mind. The mind will return to the experience that's given it the greatest joy. This is why, for example, people who are crystal meth addicts have such a hard time giving it up because drug-driven sex, especially, is so euphoric. And even though it trashes their lives, there's always that little piece in the back of the head, maybe one more time, Now, thank God, God is the most beloved, or we'd all be screwed. What do I mean by that? When the yogi can practice samadhi, those of us who've studied Viveka Chudamani, there's a long section about the practice of samadhi. And some Advaitins say samadhi's not necessary. Well, I've got news for you. If you don't have samadhi, the world will continue to attract you because it's the nature of the mind.
Because when we have samadhi, it's so much better than anything else. So
Yes.
if you don't have samadhi, you don't have that experience. And
You still want
Yeah.
the world because you want the juice, you want the
Yeah.
jolt, you want the hit.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I keep Hanuman embracing Ram there. So cultivate this Atmaramana, this reveling in the self. And again, my new favorite expression that we got in the Monday class that was studying Panchadashi, Brahmananda Rasaswad, tasting the juice of the bliss of Brahman. Now, the scriptures will say you must give up your attachment to the bliss of samadhi, and they're absolutely right. But they say that after you've been established in samadhi. Now, you don't want to keep chasing getting high. That's not what we're talking about.
When you say samadhi, you're talking about nirvikalpa samadhi or just tuning up to?
It's anytime the way Tripura Rahasya describes it is my favorite. There's the prakasha of pure awareness. And then there's the vimarsha, which is the movement of any kind of vritti in the chitta. Any time the vimarsha ceases, that is samadhi. Whether you're perceiving an object or not, whether it's a muhurta, 48 minutes, or it's just a moment. That is samadhi. So rather than, is this nirvikalpa or is this savikalpa or bulky culpa, make up your own. It doesn't matter. You guys know what I mean. When the mind is tuned up, when you're reveling in the self, when you're tasting the bliss of your own self nature. And if you don't have that, your mind's going to extrovert. And you can feel it. You can feel it when someone is a lit Vedanta. They have it all intellectually down, but it's just paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. Why? Because you can feel their mind jonesing for the world. Oh, it's just an illusion. It doesn't matter. There's no liberty in that. Otherwise, you can see a woman of steady wisdom, and she can be completely active in the world. And she's just chill. And things don't go right, she laughs. She's simple. She just works. She's not special. And always she's special. My dear friend Vilasini, we're like two drunkards together. She's just got this grin on her face. She's just laughing all the time. She's just ripped. Yeah, she's Mahabodhi, a real enjoyer. And tireless worker for the mission, but very detached. All right, going on.
Idam bhojyam abhojyam ched evam tyakva vikalpanam gatha bhilasham yog bhukte mahabhokta sa uchyate. This is to be enjoyed and this is not to be enjoyed. Having given up doubt or option in such manner, he who enjoys free from desire is called the great enjoyer.
Yes, the great enjoyer is able to have Vishayananda. When desire and object of desire become one and there's joy, they're not confused. They know it's just been a way to stop my mind. And there's no attachment to the outcome. And if it doesn't come by again, no big deal. There's no fear of the phenomenon. That's the great enjoyer. All right. Next one.
Apadam sampadam moham anandam aparam param yo bhunkte samaya buddhya mahabhokta sa uchyate. He is called the great enjoyer, who enjoys or experiences with an equable mind misfortunes, prosperity, delusion or wonder, happiness, the inferior and the superior.
Yes. So leaning into every experience, acting in the world to exhaust residual prarabdha with no attachment to the outcome of events. Laughing and crying. It's like going to the movies. Vairagya is not aragya. Aragya means no feeling. Vairagya means my emotional life has been taken to a higher plane. Going up. One more.
Why do you say emotional life, Jim?
So when I was at the symphony on Sunday, this guy, Manfred Honeck, was the conductor. He's Austrian. And the concert was Beethoven, Haydn, and Mozart, all Viennese composers. So this guy, it was in his blood, literally, Viennese, where these guys came from. So he knew their performance style, their performance practice. It was like second nature to him. Beethoven was good, the Haydn was good, but what they did with the Mozart died in the midst of this composition. It's the last thing he wrote. And because she needed the commission, Mozart's wife, Constanza, had one of Mozart's students, a dude named Sussmayer, finish it. So they could get the commission.
Is that the Requiem?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Mozart Requiem.
Yeah.
So, but what Honeck wanted to do was only do real Mozart. So it wasn't the Requiem as all the pieces of a liturgical Requiem. He did only what Mozart wrote, but that's not an hour's worth of music. So he filled it out with other pieces Mozart had written.
Mm.
I wasn't quite sure it was going to work, but it was fabulous. And there's one place where it just kind of winds down. There's like, I think it was a bassoon and the bass and cellos. That's the last part Mozart wrote. And then he reprises this one movement called the lacrimosa, which means crying. And then that just kind of ends. Then at the end, he did one of Mozart's most beautiful motets. It's called the Ave Verum Corpus. And it's absolutely perfect as a composition. And I have never heard it sung better. And it wasn't just there were other people. I was just in tears, just overwhelmed by the sheer beauty and magnificence of this. Couldn't help myself. No way I'm stopping that. I'm enjoying. But I knew exactly what it is. There's a whole uh, subject in Western theology called aesthetic theology, or the theology of aesthetics, that when we have great beauty that moves us so deeply, it's a taste of God. Or God's glory. That would probably be a better way to do it. Nishayananda, there it was. In spades. It was marvelous.
But you
But
could say it's the eye of the beholder, though, because not everybody would find that music.
who the hell cares? If it was someone who's used to Chinese opera, they wouldn't have liked it.
Right.
It's not inherently divine. Comes pretty close though. But someone who likes techno house music may not like it at all. Those of us who love classical music, it was profoundly moving. But for the fool, oh, how come they never do that more frequently, you know? And oh, you know, I wish they would do that again, you know? And oh, will this guy be our new conductor? And then he'll be able to make us, you know, get really high like that all the time. You know, I'm sure that's the kind of thinking that was going on in the audience. I don't know what's going to happen, you know? Then I made tomato aspic, and that was pretty blissful. Vishayana. The bliss of the self as we experience it through the objects of the senses. It's all Brahman. Yeah. It's all Brahman. The fool doesn't know that, which means they then get attached and they want to repeat it. The yogi knows what it is. It's because they're familiar with the state. When you get it, and you've tuned up the mind, either because you've been around the teacher, or you're familiar with your mind absorbed in the self. Then when it happens in the world, you're not fooled by it. Does that make it a little clearer? All right, we're a little late. We'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.